One, two, one, two, one, two. What the you gonna do? Ladies and gentlemen, we are live with Joey McCormack and Michael Hacker of the Hacker Outdoors podcast.
Where'd my nubby go?
I don't know where your nubby went, bro. I don't even know what a nubby is.
To my headphone, it just flew off. I got it.
So prior to hitting record, we got a nice little striptease from Joe here, who was showing off his pectoral muscles for us.
My big boobies.
Too sexy. Thanks for joining, brother. It's good to see you. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Good to see you too.
So you know we're in the midst of kind of talking about different topics, and I wanted to jump in about boating etiquette. Right, I sent you a funny meme the other day. It was those of you who are on the socials.
Socials.
There's the socials, the Googles, whatever. There's a guy that someone took a picture of. He was on one of those. What would you call it, like a Fisher-Price tugboat toy?
It's like I'm looking it up right now. It's
I think it's like a Fisher-Price.
Yeah, it is. It's like a kid float.
And he registered this boat and put a trolling motor on it and gets pulled over. And sure enough, has all his like paperwork and everything. It just shows the cop. And I guess his friends took the video of him or a picture of him doing this. And I thought it was kind of funny, but it brings up a huge issue, right? Which is, of course, boating etiquette.
Yeah.
Joe's nodding his head for those.
I was looking for that picture to tell you what kind of boat it was, but I can't find it now.
It was a Fisher-Price tugboat. I'm 90%.
Yeah, it's
sure.
like what it was like a little called like a little tyke. It's like a tube kind of thing.
I mean,
he's smart. He's smart.
It's the cheapest way to get on the water, right? Like, come on, man.
The thing is, he's probably one of those reservoirs where it's electric motor only, and he wants to fish, and he doesn't want to spend all that money to have a boat that can only go in X amount of reservoirs. So, hey, here you go. Here's the next best thing. I would do that down by the reservoir in my house at Loch Raven if I could, but they have a size limit. They want the boat to be a certain length. So that's the only reason I couldn't do that one, or I would.
Well, but this brings up something that we talk about a lot, right? Which is, etiquette on the water, etiquette in general. You're putting yourself at risk when you go in the water like that. Like, I applaud the guy in some way, shape, or form, but I also kind of like tongue in cheek say, like, you shouldn't be out there, right? Like, you put yourself at risk. You put the rescuers potentially at risk. Joe's having a coughing fit. You all right, buddy?
My allergies are horrible today.
Yeah, it's the cicadas.
They're dead. They're all gone.
They're all gone. We didn't get any up here, man. So, we talk about a lot about people being on water, and we talked about with Mark about people being in the water that really need to be mindful of their surroundings a little bit. Not a day goes by that I don't see on social some sort of boating accident, some sort of tragedy that occurs on the water itself. I think the Upper Delaware last week, so we're talking the middle of the month of July, there were 6 people that drowned in the Upper Delaware. And that's absolutely insane. And a lot of these things could be resolved if you had proper etiquette on the water and proper knowledge of what you should and shouldn't be doing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe.
Because my connection's unstable. There it goes. So when I was up in the Delaware, I guess it's been like 3-4 weeks now for a tournament.
Yeah.
What blew my mind was the amount of people swimming in the Delaware, and swimming in areas like where you normally in most bodies of water wouldn't see people swimming. On the Potomac, you'll see people park their boats and swim in certain areas, but they're always in shallow bays that are off the river, that are like in, I guess, what they would call creek areas. The Delaware is not really like that to me. Where we fish at, it's like just one river with not a lot of creeks off of it. It's just channels in the middle, river shores, and I can't tell you how many people were out there, parents pulling kids in tubes with no flags up, no life preservers on, Nothing. We're swimming in the water just off the channel, their kids and family, with no flag on the boat, no indication that anybody's in the water, just off a channel in a major river, kids.
But is it, do you think this is a microcosm or like a social a social issue in the New York tri-state area only? Like, do you witness this? You go to bodies of water all over the place. Does this happen anywhere else?
So what I saw in the Delaware blew my mind, and I've been to a lot of places. I've seen some stupid stuff in other bodies of water. Maybe it was just a day I was out, but the amount of stupidness I witnessed that day was through the roof. I mean, just absolutely insane,
Blew your mind.
insane. Blew my mind. I've never seen it anywhere like that. Um, I've been on Hartwell. Hartwell's got a lot of people out there, um, but nothing like that. I've never seen anything like that. Amount of people swimming in the river with no life jackets on. Like, I'm a very strong swimmer, but I don't think I would be in the middle of the river without a life jacket on in that water. I wouldn't do it. When I got in the water the day last weekend for the tournament because it was so hot, guess what I had on? My
Your
life
life vest.
jacket.
Yeah.
I had it on. Uh,
Well, but I think this is bigger than we're just talking about small craft. We're talking, not just man-powered craft. We're talking everything from that to large boats. And one of my
yeah,
passions, I would say my YouTube passions, is watching inlet boats, right? So like people coming in and out of inlets. And when we talked a little bit, I think last time, you and I, about how I took the nephews fishing down on the not the Delaware, geez, uh, the the river. I think it was a Shark River, and we were doing the inlet there, and these boats were like trying to get out into the ocean, and it's not a very rough inlet. Like, it's not like, what is it, Jupiter Inlet, right?
yeah,
Which is
Jupiter's a crazy one.
freaking insane. Like this was small, almost like I would say overloaded boats trying to get through an inlet, and you think to yourself, like boating, like 101 would tell you what you're doing is not okay. It's not safe. Like,
Well, those
things can go
small
awry real
boats,
freaking quick.
those small boats don't belong on the ocean. That's another part. They don't belong out there on the ocean. Another thing I saw in the Delaware, the amount of kids on jet skis doing full speed riding this close to each other and coming. There was one point we were fishing this stretch, and these two kids on jet skis for 3 hours back and forth by us, and they were coming within close enough that I could easily cast my rod and knock them off their sea-doos, but they were doing 60 miles per hour
On the river. See,
on
but
the
see,
river.
where you were fishing is different than where I go fishing on the Delaware. So the Upper Delaware, the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, is in some spots pretty much impassable via boat, right? Like there
Right.
are like top tier rapids. I'm sure they're literally class one rapids right now, right? Like amazing rapids. Like you can't get a boat through there. Like we do it in kayaks, we do it in canoes, you could do it on a raft, but like you're probably not even getting a jet boat over that. But down by Trenton, that's like a whole nother animal. That's like a
Well, there's
wide.
when I say they're swimming out just outside the channel, there's huge cargo ships that come down that channel, and they're swimming just mere inches away. You know,
Yeah, it's maddening. I'm kind of shocked. But again, do you think, I'll pose the question again because it's one of the things that I'd like to know. Is this something that, does it exist anywhere else? I've been to Lake Powell. I've been to Lake Powell a couple times, right out in Arizona, Utah, and I'll say it's chaos, right? In some areas, like over by the marinas, like there are people that are very unsafe. But I think what the issue is here in New Jersey, New York, is the lack of resources in law enforcement that's actually patrolling these areas and making sure that people are being safe, right?
that's what I gather.
In all my years on the water, I've never seen a ranger ever. I've in any of the lakes I've ever been to, I've never seen a police officer. Fishing down the shore, I mean, Sandy Hook, yeah, I've seen the ranger there, but like they've never checked to see if people are being safe. On the bay side, I've seen people like the bay side, that's the Shrewsbury River, running right into, basically the Raritan Bay there, behind Sandy Hook. And it's like, that is a tidal river and people are being incredibly unsafe back there. But like what is the like? How do you even begin? Like, I'm gonna start to do boater education, right? Like, I want to get my boating license, right? Because obviously we talk about this. I'm seriously looking at getting a boat, and what kind of boat it is yet to be determined. But the first step in that is me getting my license. So I've begun reading up on these things, and I knew a little bit because of growing up on the water. Right, my grandfather had a boat growing up. Every summer we would spend time fishing on it. We would go, swimming off of it. We would do all these things, but it was always my grandfather was a very safe person in many respects and respected the kind of the rule of the water. And I remember vividly being in places up in Rhode Island on the boat, and the cops would pull up alongside you and be like, "Hey, let's check your life preservers.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a life preserver on boat for everybody, or a flotation device on boat for everybody?" And you don't get that here. And I don't really feel as though I saw it even on Lake George, and I'll say that like Lake George, but you do have a lot of New Yorkers and a lot of people from. When I say New Yorkers, I mean New York City folk, and you have a lot of New Jerseyans that go up there and kind of bring that attitude. And I told the story on here where I was out on the kayak, and I these boats blowing past me as I'm jigging along this line that I was trying to hit, and blowing past me at like 40 miles an hour on the water, and I'm holding my thing above my head like this, like my oar, like shaking it so that they could see me, and then they don't slow down. And here I am, like immediately throwing my line back, getting my line out of the water, getting my oars back in the water to try and protect myself. And you know, it's just an unsafe environment. I mean, you think that people in human powered crafts usually have the right of way, right? And you never want to get into a position where you're going to be responsible for hurting someone else or even yourself,
I'm
in
guessing they
my
don't.
opinion.
I'm guessing they don't have the money up there for the amount of people they need for the amount of water they have. Because, like you said, I mean, I see people out checking people's boats, and pretty much everywhere we go, I see that. Um, I don't know what I witnessed that day in that area was.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me with the figures you said of people who unfortunately passed away, because the atmosphere I witnessed in the pure chaos on the water, and this just wasn't kids in their 20s who were partying and having a good time. These were parents with their kids in the water,
Right.
where giant cargo ships go by with nothing. You're supposed to put a flag up to signify, people are in the water. None of that.
Divers and everything. Yeah. Yeah.
None of that. I mean, one of those tankers goes by, they're not going to see that, and mind-boggling. And the other part was the amount. There's one area where people were. There's this one little area where they did go into a creek and everybody would park their boats and like kind of party. The
Yeah.
amount of litter they were throwing in the water was absolutely mind-boggling.
Hate to see
Absolutely.
that. Hate to see
And
that.
you
But
knew it was from them because it was alcohol trash just floating down the river.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'll say it again. The Delaware River is a beautiful body of water, and we're blessed to have it so
it
close
is.
to where I live, and it's close to where you live, the southern part of the Delaware. But um, it is another world. Donna and I were out when I did the Tough Mudder. We had to cross over the Gap, right? We take 80 west. We were at the Pocono racetrack out there, and even with the high water and seeing going over there, you could see for a mile or so on the river, and there were just people tied together on little inner tubes, and you could easily make out that they were drinking, which they're not supposed to be doing, right? And just floating along. It's like I hope you survive. Like, this is we haven't had rain like this, according to the guy up at the tackle shop in Barryville, that that they're 6 inches over where they are normally on like a high water season. And the summer is only halfway into it. So, and we got a lot of rain left on the forecast. So, this river is it's a dangerous place to be. And that carries over, I'd say, to the ocean. It
Any
carries over
body
to
of water. I
lakes.
think I think a lot of these people don't put two and two together, and they think it's because it's water. It's not as dangerous.
Yeah. Well, when you throw in other things, it's incredibly dangerous, right? You have um, underwater obstructions, you have logs, you have tons of rocks, you have. I mean, did you hear all the time about shallow water drownings? I had this conversation with my nephew. I said, all it takes is for you for like wading. Like I'm incredibly careful. I take my time when I wade because all it takes is for me to do a misstep and my ankle gets stuck. And I've had my ankle get stuck before. And luckily, like in slow moving water, and you got to kind of move the log or whatever the hell it is your foot's stuck on, and get your foot out of there. But like if it was fast moving and you got stuck in there, I don't care how strong of a swimmer you are.
Well, people drown in bathtubs. My theology teacher in high school, his sister drowned in the bathtub in like a couple inches of water. I think she hit her head, knocked herself out, and
Wow, that's terrible. Oh, rest her soul, man. That's horrendous.
yeah, I
But
see people messing around because I'm at the beach all the time. The stuff I see in the beach, we were down there for the hurricane. Um, the winds weren't right, but the surf is still huge. The winds were on shore and strong ocean. I mean, nobody should have been out there unless they really knew what they're doing. And these parents were letting their kids go out there, and it was just huge, huge ocean. Like,
yeah, yeah. Well, we were talking, Mark and I offline about kind of the rip currents and everything like that. I posted on my story a while ago. It was how to identify areas on the water that, um, you know, what do where's the rip current? What does it look like? It's also helpful for fishermen, right? They know where to target because there's these, bait fish are going to get stuck in there and go swooping out,
or
and
if
there's
you
probably.
surf, because when you surf, you jump in the rip current, let it take you out, and then paddle to
Oh,
the break.
right, right. So it's good to know, but like most people don't know that. I mean, you go to the shore and you see things and you just think to yourself, like, I couldn't imagine what Mark goes through. And of course, I'm speaking to Mark Anthony, who, if you haven't listened to the podcast, listen to it. He was on a couple episodes ago. Um, lifeguard, like, I couldn't imagine dealing with that, man. Like, you have people who have no respect for Mother Earth and kind of the violence that she's capable of.
So when we were down at the beach, right by our condo, there's this place that they do parasailing. They also have like banana boat rides where they take you out on one of those big banana boats on a sea-doo and rip you around. And they launch from this one area that is so minuscule, and you're not supposed to swim there, obviously. These parents and kids kept swimming in there, and they wouldn't listen. They were arguing with the guy. They're like, "We take our boat off from here, and you're swimming." They wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen. They eventually had the police come over and physically remove these people because they just thought it was okay. Just
Were they from Bergen County, New Jersey? Can I?
don't know where they were from, but I was watching this, just shaking my head because the poor guy is like blowing the whistle, like like
Yeah,
waving, and they wouldn't go. So the guy finally had to go out to them in the water. It's like, you need to move over to this to there, and not. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. To the police finally had to come. Well, when they came to, they had to get the police, and then the police had to get them in and tell them, do not go past that. Like, what are you
yeah.
doing? Do you
It's
want to
for
die?
it's for your own safety. I think that's what people forget is like it's for your safety. Like there's people out there that know a lot more than we do in things. I had this conversation with one of my guys, one of my employees the other day. I said, look, like I like shutting my mouth and listening,
The best thing to do
and
sometimes.
because I know I'm not the smartest man in the room. I'm not the smartest person in the room. I all the time, right? Like I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna listen. And I know that there are things in this world that I don't know anything about. And if I don't know that, it's not going to do it. I had a conversation with a colleague today. She was talking about sharks for some reason. I guess she was watching Shark Week or something like that. She's like, I'm not going in the water. I said, so look, like you have a better chance of crashing your car and dying than you do of getting attacked by a
Oh,
shark.
way better.
I'm gonna be completely honest. And she's like, well, how do you know this? I said, well, I've been in the water like on my surfboard and there's sharks swimming under me and I've never been attacked. So like it doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy seeing them swimming under me, but
Well,
like,
here'd be your answer. If people are dying by shark attacks, like car accidents, they would be on the news every single night, or the newspaper. You would hear daily of somebody getting mauled by a shark. It doesn't happen.
it not, and when it does, and I kind of explain the whole, like, you know, reason why people freak out. And I said, look, like Jaws did such a huge disservice to sharks in general, and sharks should be definitely respected because they are apex predators and we are in their world when we are in the water. Um, but you shouldn't fear them. I mean, it's like anything. Like, I'm not going out of my way to go swimming with them. I'm not going out of my way to surf with them. I'm not doing any of that. But like at the same time, like I know that there's an inherent risk when, like anything, when you go into the water. And that's that. I mean, like I said to Donna, when we go down to the Keys, not going swimming in the Keys. Are you insane? No way. Nope. Nope. Maybe
Too
snorkeling in.
too sharky for you?
Oh, there was a joke. I forget who said it. It was like someone offered this guy, I think it was $1 million to swim from one of the keys to the other keys. It was like a half a mile or something like that. And the guy he goes, how much? He goes, $1 million. Because I wouldn't do it for 10. He's like, no way. He's like, you know how many times I catch fish out here, and before I even get it to the boat, the fish is gone because black tips are eating it, or freaking bull sharks, or tigers, or whatever other million freaking species of shark that are down here are just destroying it. He's like, they are so well fed though, like, and they're such great predators in hunting that it's going to be a mistaken identity. Like they probably don't even want to eat you, but they're going to see you moving and they're going to come at you.
Well, most shark attacks happen when you shouldn't be in the water. I mean, clear times where you shouldn't be swimming because of
Yeah,
the danger of a shark attack.
100%, 100%.
So,
Joe, this was
brother,
great, man. Catching
it
up.
was good.
Oh, always a pleasure. Love you, man.
Love you too.
Everyone, thanks for joining us today. We will get this up shortly, and like us. Yeah, there goes Joe showing us his lightsaber. Like us, give us a thumbs up, a rating, review. If you enjoyed what you heard, we really appreciate you joining us today. And as always, have a great evening. Joe, talk to you soon, brother.
Talk to you soon, brother.
All right,
Later.
bye.